Tina for the resub. Appreciate everyone for joining us. Carol's just starting his Facebook Live feed right now as well, and on YouTube in addition. And we're about to start our podcast right now. Carol, anything before we start it?
No, just checking the quick things right here. Another edition of Sports on the Hill about to come through. Just want to make sure everything's set up right and looking good on my end. Let me get my OBS screen. Boom, everything's good to go. Let's see. Yep, good on there. And good on there. Yep, good to go.
All right, I'm ready. So I'm going to do a 10 seconds of pause right now, and then we'll start the audio podcast, and we'll get going.
No doubt, no doubt. Sorry, no intro this week, guys. It's been a busy day. Intro video, that is.
We are live on Facebook. So welcome everybody. We've got some exciting sports tonight. Welcome to Sports OTHP, Sports on the Hill podcast. It is episode 310. Tonight we're talking about the defenders in the championship. The Commanders have been sold pending league approval. We'll also talk a little bit of the Nationals, who had a pretty decent week. And we're going to talk a little NBA and NHL playoffs as well. And so, yeah, first of all, I'm going to bring in my co-host and the host of this show for now. This is our 8th season, so we've done this for 7 years. Carol, how are you doing tonight?
Oh man, I'm doing great. A little tired, been a long day. Got a lot of big things going on in the personal life, but yeah, I was watching the Nats game earlier. Then the Nats game was watching me, but they found a way to get the split versus the Mets today, which was pleasant to see. Especially we've seen the way they've been improving over the last couple of weeks, and yeah, just feeling pretty good. Doing some big things, and stay tuned for more, man. But it's been a long day, and unfortunately, I won't be on for the whole show tonight, but I'll definitely be on for the first hour breaking down the XFL Commanders and the Nationals with their 3-3 week and starting off this week with the win.
And we've got a special guest on the show with us to start with our both our Commanders and our XFL talk. DC's People's Champ. I want to thank you for that read sub. 17 months that we've been doing this together, and Tina subscribed for 9 months earlier, so that's a Twitch baby. If you are a Twitch listener, you know what that means. If not, then I'm sorry. It's probably very confusing. And but I want to welcome everybody. Lots of Hound Dooms in the chat. I know that he went to that XFL game. We'll get his thoughts from chat about going to the game as well. We got Andy in chat, a bunch of other people as well. Ant Dog, I saw earlier catching some Pokemon. So I really appreciate everyone for tuning in on Twitch. This will be our second to last episode on Twitch this season. Next week will be the last episode before I take my 3 months off. But lots to talk about tonight. We're going to start about the Commanders sale. I'll get Carol's thoughts on that, again, pending league approval, but we're going to pretend that they're going to approve it because I think that they will. And then we're going to go to the XFL talk. Fortunate loss for the Defenders, but a great season, and so we'll recap that with Champ. Then we'll have Carol give his thoughts on the Nationals. So they went 4-3, putting a split with a big win today over the Mets. And then in hour 2, it's going to be a playoff power hour. We're going to have 2 Twitch guests with us. Davey's eating a sandwich, who's a big NBA and Lakers fan. We're also have Daddy Flat Guy, who is a Carolina fan in hockey. So we'll have them talk about their respective sports, maybe get their thoughts on the other sport as well. So that'll be in hour 2. But let's get going. So I know we started a little bit late. But Carol, break it down for everybody who's listening. The Commanders sale, your thoughts on it. I know that a long time ago you thought it was never going to happen just because you didn't think that he was going to sell the team. Then over the last couple of years, I think that you were more believing that he might do it.
Ironically, I'm glad you brought that point up, Rob. I'm glad you brought that point up because I have been misquoted and been dealing with a troll on social media that I actually had to address this past weekend. The statement that I made, that I clarified on that post several times, is that the owners would not force him out to sell because of they know who he is, and they know that they have the same dirt in their closet that he would find and would present to the league and make them lose their teams. Because we've seen how this man did his minority owners when they tried to pull some BS. So that was the point I was making, that the league would, the owners would not vote him out for the fact of retaliation. It isn't the fact that I said they're scared of him. It isn't the fact that I'm defending him. It isn't the fact that I think that whatever. That was the point that I was making. Somehow it got misconstrued that I said that he would never go any. I said he would never go anywhere under those circumstances. I didn't clarify. I thought folks could connect the dots, but apparently common sense is no longer common. So I have to use color pencils, drawings, and whatever else to get my point across, because people don't know how to, stay on the lines of my train of thought.
Yeah.
Saying that,
the number 9 food, the yellow number 5.
you know what I'm saying?
To get his point across. That's what he's saying.
I might got to get the deaf translator up here too to do some sign language for the folks that can't hear, because I'm tired of repeating myself over and over again, because the DC
I'm happy you clarified, Carol, because honestly, we've done this for a long time, and I know that our opinions on things have changed over time. So, but I appreciate you clarifying that statement, that you believe that he could sell it if the terms were in his favor, not to be forced to sell it. And
that was the point. And he's making a 600% profit. So I mean,
so people know he bought it for about $800 million back in '99, and he's selling it for $6.05 billion. Which is pretty crazy.
It's like I said, I've always been on record to say I'm not the guy that's going to demonize him the way everybody else does. Granted, he came into the league, didn't know what he was doing. First impressions, I get it. Everybody, that's all they remember. But the last 8-9 years, he's pretty much just stepped back. Everybody with the rumors, he made him get Dwayne Haskins, he made him get RG3. We know the truth. So I don't even get into that argument anymore, because we know the people at the park that know the real deal. We don't listen to the spin doctors that's out here putting that stuff out there. So I'm not even going to get into that argument anymore. But
right, Tina in chat is asking, she said that she felt that it was a little bit forced, but makes sense about the dirt he has on all the owners and things like that. So
it was leveraged properly to make it advantageous for him to sell right now. But don't get it twisted. He would have had that long fight because he has the money and he has the resources to drag it out and to, make it a living hell for whoever would have came up against him. So I get it. I concede that. But this man isn't as bad as everyone has portrayed him to be. I'm not defending him. I'm gonna leave it at that, because you have to remember, this is the same DC sports media that has this fan base saying that he ruined a storied franchise. First of all, this is not a storied franchise, people. I hate to break the news to you. Storied franchise, Pittsburgh Steelers. Effective 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and still into the 2000s. Even have to say the Dallas Cowboys. 60s, 70s, 80s, and the beginning of the 90s. That's a storied franchise. We're a 500 franchise. We had a good decade. We won 3 Super Bowls in 10 years, but other than that, we're 500. You guys are complaining about the quarterback situation. We've had quarterback controversies going back into the 70s with Sonny and Billy, Gus and Heath, RG3 and Kirk Cousins. So for all of you to be upset about them not having a quarterback at this stage of Ron's tenure, you need to go look at the history of this team. This is nothing new, but because the DC sports media has hyped y'all up and then put that pipe in y'all and smoked it, now you have this skewed perspective that, he ruined a great thing. There was really never a great thing here. Let's look at the owners. Jack Kent Cook, who until the Lakers special came out, a lot of folks didn't know that he wasn't the most colored-friendly owner in the league. And if you really want to talk about it, think about when Joe Gibbs left and where the team took before Jack Kent Cook sold it. Joe Gibbs was the middleman for the minority players and Jack Kent Cook. Once Joe Gibbs removed himself, you saw the decline starting. So it wasn't when Daniel Snyder got in that all of a sudden things fell apart. Things started to fall apart when Joe Gibbs left the franchise. So
That's a good point.
So,
It's
like
funny
I'm
how,
saying,
the media spins everything such certain ways, and then people just grab on to headlines, and they just keep
I-
on spiraling
I
with it.
get it. I get it. But there's this beautiful thing called the smartphone, and it has a feature called Google. And there's something called research.
Yeah.
Why don't folks try that for a change instead of just jumping on to the first thing they hear because someone on the radio or someone on TV says it? Check their credentials and see where they're getting the info from before you jump out there and then come at me, who's done the research, who talks to the people, not once a week on a Zoom call, they talk to the water boy to get a scoop. I'm talking to people actually at the park on a daily basis. So I'm not going to sit here and argue with you on social media because, like I tell you all the time, I'm going to continue doing interviews and doing my show, and you continue punching keys on Facebook and being angry, and we are not built the same. So I'm gonna leave it at that. The sale is hopefully going to be finalized. I'm on record saying I don't care who owns the team. I only care about the product on the field. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I think it's going to be a pivotal season, and I'm just glad it's finally over. And I'm glad that they will have Daniel Snyder not to whine about more from the fans and this local DC sports media, and they're going to actually have to start talking about sports. Let's see how well they do at that and not having Daniel Snyder as their whipping boy who they can do an article on and get hundreds of thousands clickbait posts because that's all the fans want to talk about. Let's talk about real football and see how good your clicks are then. That's what I want to know. And I'm done.
Damn, ain't much else that I can say. Shit.
But
This has
Cam,
been
I do
pent
wanna-
up, Ken. I'm sorry, DC's people channel. This has been pent up over the weekend.
Yeah, no, I knew it was going to be. I kind of stirred the pot a little bit. I thought it'd be a good
Yeah, this
start
is
to
your
the show.
fault, Robbie.
It is definitely. But it makes good, radio, TV, whatever you want to call this. But
Hey, I kept it PG. I kept it
I
PG.
know
That's
you
all
did.
that matters.
It was good. It was fiery, but not too fiery. But Champ, I want to bring you in. How are you doing? And also hope that you had a good Mother's Day weekend. I hope that you both did. And let me know what your thoughts on this Commanders sell.
Konbawa, you're listening to us. I'm excited. I'm excited about the new turn. Me and DJ have been standing in our group chat this whole time. This whole process has been played out. The streets wanted Magic Johnson to own a club, and now he's owning my hometown club. I'm over the moon about that. Whether he's a minority owner is irrelevant to me. He's still an owner of the club that I grew up watching, and I think that's awesome. And Josh Harris has been a pretty successful owner. I mean, he's owned the 76ers and the Devils, who have been pretty successful franchises in their respective sports leagues. So clearly, he knows the formula to make a successful franchise. So clearly, he's going to bring that same expertise here to a club that has been struggling since last winning the Super Bowl back when I was 9 years old. By the way, I am going to be 41 this year. So that should tell you how long it has been since I've seen any kind of major success from the very team I grew up watching. So I'm very excited about it. And I have to agree with Carol. I have to confess that, Carol, I was one of those fans that let the DC sports media skew my perspective and my vision for this team. But that was before I got to know you and Robbie. Once I got to know you and Robbie, they no longer skew my perspective of this team and what's going on with the inner workings of this team. Because I know, like, I can just go to Carol. Carol knows he got the 411. He knows what's up.
Oh,
So I ain't got to listen to you guys. Like, I can go talk to my mans, and he'll let me know what's good. So I'm good. But really excited, really hopeful for what's to come in the future for this franchise. And what could be over the horizon. And as Carol said before, now the focus needs to be on the field product. We've been very subpar on the field over the years, and now it's time to really step it up. Really, it's time to start really showing that I agree with Carol. We're not a storied franchise. We only have 3 championships, whereas there are other franchises who have 5+. Who have been successful in multiple decades. We need to get to that point where we can start being called a story franchise by being successful over and over and over again. And now it's got to start. It's got to start now. I'm about to be 41. I want to be able to see another Super Bowl in my lifetime, and this needs to start now.
Hopefully that'll happen, Ken. Hopefully you'll be able to see another Super Bowl in this area before the lights go out, man. I'm hoping the same thing too. You were 9. I was a freshman in high school. And I did win a lot of money on that game, though. So I still remember that. A lot of folks didn't, was thinking Buffalo was going to find a way. I'm like, dude, this team is phenomenal. 14-2, offense, defense, special teams. It was a beautiful thing. And I'm actually in the works of possibly doing a documentary with one of my Redskin / Commander historians. We're gonna thinking about doing a couple of documentaries on some of the teams that didn't make the Super Bowl that were still great. He gave me some stats and some facts on I believe it was I don't want to get it wrong. I think it was the 72 skins that went to the Super Bowl. He gave me some stats that I had no idea about that still stand to this day. I'm not gonna give it away because, like I said, I'm working on it. But stay tuned. I'm gonna bring y'all some football knowledge. I complain about you guys not knowing and thinking that you're gonna go out there and actually research and learn. I guess I'm gonna have to spoon feed you guys some football knowledge because after 8 seasons, me talking about it just isn't doing it. So I'm gonna have to start putting some work in and putting some stuff together to back up my stance since folks want to question me because I'm not on the radio, I'm not on the mainstream or whatever. So stay tuned. Like I said, we got some big things coming. I want to definitely try to educate our fan base because sometimes I'm embarrassed by our fan base and their lack of knowledge and lack of football IQ and how easily distracted they are with the clickbait. I want them, like you said, Ken, you was easily distracted, but after listening and looking and researching and listening to us, now you have your own opinion. And that's the main reason why I had the idea to start it, and me and Robbie started this, was to bring real sports talk back to sports, not the opinionated, inflammatory, clickbait, Stephen A, Skip, just want to get you upset, just want to get you to tune in. We want to actually talk about the sports, not the other BS. Because if you notice, we don't do that here. And that's it.
Well, with that, let's maybe we could switch gears. I think we've talked about the Commanders enough, and we can talk a little bit of XFL.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into this.
XFL, into the groups. Let me break down the scoring as I've done this whole entire season real quick, and then I'll get each of your thoughts on the game. My overall thoughts real quickly was that it was a great game in the sense that it was exciting for the sport, right? So we're trying to grow a sport here as part of it. Like in an ideal world, we win and we grow the sport, but I'm just really happy with how this iteration of the XFL went. We talked all season long about all the different aspects that we liked about the transparency, the scoring opportunities, the 4th and 15. We saw a little bit of all of it in this game, which I was happy to see. But it was kind of a bit rough. It started off really bad for the defenders. They had a really bad first quarter, and they're kind of in a lot of ways was the difference in the game. I mean, there was times where we were catching up, but we were never able to get over that hump. They were able to get a touchdown, 11 with 11 minutes left in the quarter. It was a 41-yard touchdown pass. They missed on the 2-point conversion. Then they got, with 29 seconds left in the first quarter, a 9-yard pass. That there was a conversion for a 2-point on that one to go up 14-0. They were able to get a field goal about 5 minutes left in the quarter, in the second quarter. I was happy to see that DC came back and Abraham Smith got a 2-yard touchdown run, but we missed a 2-point conversion on that. And unfortunately, just some really boneheaded plays on our special teams, which have been good all season, led by our coach, who we now know is a special teams guy himself. But just some bad plays, unsportsmanlike penalty, set them up, and then we couldn't get it far enough, so they got an additional penalty on top of that. And they basically didn't have to go very far to get a 51-yard field goal. and that gives them some momentum back. They go up 20-6. I do like that with 11 minutes 42 seconds left in the third quarter, we're able to get a 52-yard touchdown run. But we missed a 2-point conversion. It's only an 8-point game at that point. But then, unfortunately, Arlington goes down the field. They had a 7-yard touchdown run, and they failed on the 1-point conversion. They take some a 14-point lead. Then we get a 72-yard pass with 9 seconds to go in the third quarter to make it 20-26 with a 2-point conversion. And that seemingly would give them huge momentum going into the fourth quarter, but they get a 30-yard pass on a 1-point conversion for a touchdown themselves right as time was expiring to give them a 12-point lead. And they were able to get a field goal with about 9:56 left in the fourth quarter, make it 35-20. We're able to get a touchdown, but we fail the 2-point conversion. We try for the 4th and 15, but it's an interception on that, and that's the ball game. And I'll start with you, Carol. I thought it was a valiant effort by us to at least to try to make a game of it, but we just couldn't stop shooting ourselves in the foot.
Boy, I went back and rewatched it. It was hard to watch it because to me, the first play of the game kind of signified the whole day. If you remember the first play, defenders, defense, 2 rushers coming off the edge, clean. Quarterback should have been there for the taking. He eludes, buys enough time to just basically flip the ball up and on a hope and a prayer that his running back that's like 7 yards away will catch it. And he did. Just as both of the defenders were colliding to hit him. They just came up a little bit short. And I felt like Arlington had a good game plan, along with defenders' top cornerback being out. Joseph, I was hoping with the extra week, he would be able to go. They had a great game plan. They schemed well with the quick passing game, the crossing routes, and they took advantage of not our best secondary out there. Then we also lost a couple of guys throughout the game, and the starting nose tackle was out by the first quarter. And it was just along with Arlington, being pretty much the home team in the Alamo Dome. DC fans traveled. I'm not saying they didn't, but come on now. Arlington is not that far from the Alamo Dome. So I mean, I think it was just a combination of that, along with I felt like the offensive coordinator for DC, and also go back to the first play of DC on the offensive side of the ball. The read option. If Jordan Tiamu would have handed the ball off to Smith, it was kind of it would have been a decent game. He kept the ball, bad decision, trying to switch things up, and I feel like those two things, because we saw some things out of Jordan this game that we hadn't seen all season. Like he was trying to put on a show for the NFL scouts. He wasn't hitting his reads. He wasn't making the best decisions when he had the opportunity. He had more opportunities to run the ball in the first half, and he didn't, because I felt like he was trying to prove a point or go tat for tat with the Arlington quarterback, Perez, because he was having such a great first half. Unfortunately,
I have a question, Carol. We never saw the other quarterback, right?
Yeah, we didn't, and that's another thing. That's why, unfortunately, with this offensive coordinator, he has vast experience on every level, but it isn't just with the young offensive coordinators where they outthink themselves. And my thought process was we saw more of the passing game later in the season just to give the team something to think about. But when they got down to it, they would go to their bread and butter. And Abram Smith, he had, where'd it go? 13 carries for 90 yards and 2 touches, 6.9 yard average. He only touched the ball 4 times in the first half. Granted, Arlington had a ball control game. They were getting third down conversions. because of the quick passing game. So it was like a just a bad storm that just kept on, and DC fought the momentum and found a way to stay in it. I felt like the pivotal play of the game, and I hate to say this because I love the guy. He been a great player for them this season, but Blair, that touchdown that should have that bounced off his hands that he's been catching those all season. I felt like that was the play that really broke their back because they knew because they were only down I believe 14 or maybe 12 at that point, and they'd have got that touchdown that would have changed the whole complexion. And then fast forward to the fourth quarter when they got that fumble late in the game. But as I say, shoulda, woulda, coulda. But we can't talk about what coulda happened. But that's just me going back, looking at the game and my football mind, seeing how things played out. It was a great season. It sucks to be on the end of a team that dominated in the regular season and came up short when it counted the most, especially to a under 500 team. But the DC Valor did the same thing, and we won a championship off of that. So I guess I have to, chalk it up. They went into the playoffs with a losing record and found a way to win the championship. So you got to take the good with the bad. Unfortunately, the defenders, came up a little short. I wish it would have turned out a different way, but we're definitely going to try to get Coach Barlow back on to, talk about him, his career, not just coaching, his playing career, and talk about this season and what he get his thoughts on the final game. And I agree with Robbie. I do like the XFL, 3.0 technically. But I hope the NFL looks at some of the things that they have. I like the kickoff with them all standing pat until the receiver catches the ball, and then they go. If they're really dedicated to stopping concussions, they will implement this into the league because it brings special teams back into it. We saw Puka Williams 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, break a few big ones. We've seen. I have to contradict you on you say the special teams was pretty decent all year, Robbie. They've been giving up big returns for the most part, and they fixed it a little bit toward the end of the season, but it reared its ugly head again with bad decisions and bad stuff in this game.
I agree with the returns part, but my part is being sloppy. Like in the extra point, or the him cheering and setting them up and then kicking it out of bounds, and these are things that just can't happen, especially in a dome. It's not like he's fighting wind. Like he's got to be able to figure it out. Like you can't. That is such a disastrous penalty in this league. Like to be 40, to get at the 45.
Well, the 40, I feel like that one wasn't the bad one. The bad one was when the penalty when they couldn't get into the zone and the guy that automatically on the 30. I didn't know about that rule because I guess it hadn't happened on the defenders. I don't know if it happened in this season, but I hadn't seen that. And because they was like, well, he get the ball on the 30. I'm like, oh, okay, get the ball on the 30. I'm like, oh no, that's our 30. Oh, that's a big difference. So I didn't know about that rule, and that I think that along with the Blair drop, I think that was the kind of what broke the back of this team with that situation. Now, Abram Smith, he's been good all season, cool, calm, and collected, but unfortunately at the most pivotal moment, he lost his cool, and I'm not going to say he cost his team the game, but like I said, those two plays.
It's a collective of those sorts of plays,
yeah.
And it's sad, but they add up over time. We've got some great thoughts in chat from somebody who's actually at the game. But before I get into that, I want to get Champ's thoughts on this game, and then I'll talk about some of the crowd and the overall fandom that the DC Defenders have brought this year.
Right. So I think one of the other things that wasn't mentioned was some of the lucky bounces that Arlington got on some of the interceptions that they got off of Teamu. I don't think Teamu had a game all season where he had this many interceptions, but a lot of them, some of them were his fault throwing into the coverages that he did, but it was just a lot of lucky bounces that Arlington got. Like 2 of them were bounces that landed right into the defender's hands, into the Renegades defense's hands. And that was another thing that kind of stalled the defense. I mean, I look at the scoring drives, and they only had 2 offensive drives before they finally got a touchdown. They had their first drive was a 3-and-out. And then their second one was where they had the interception after 8 plays of 47 yards. But between their first offensive drive and their second one, Arlington had the ball for 8 minutes and 45 seconds, had 16 plays, 88 yards, and a touchdown. So that right there is a killer right there. After they already gave up an opening possession touchdown, to end up going up and giving up another touchdown on a very long drive after their defense didn't even get. They only got like a minute 37 to rest before they had to go back out there. Then they were out there for 8 minutes and 45 seconds. I think that that's what really killed this defense. Another thing that I really saw is that it seems like Arlington figured out Chico for Greg Williams and his aggressive defense. Quick passes, up tempo, quick passes. That's what a lot of these teams that we played didn't really do. They didn't do up tempo quick passes like get the ball out in 1 to 2 seconds and boom, boom, boom. They were trying to be more methodical with the passing, and it allowed our defense to be able to either get to the quarterback or cut off routes to get picks or get deflections and things like that. Arlington figured out had the cheat code. They knew, they said this is an aggressive defense. We need to get the ball out quickly, hit the hot routes, and just get down the field meticulously. Like what that coach from KC said. Just matriculate the ball down the field, boys. That's what they did. That's what they did, and that's how they were able to counteract this very aggressive defense is by just quick passes and just making sure to keep them on their toes and keeping the tempo up and everything like that. And it just wore the defense down. Yes, the defense did force 2 turnovers. They forced an interception and a fumble, but the 3 interceptions from Teamo hurt just much more, and it caused the defense to have to be out there a lot longer than they needed to be. And it just showed that they just did not have the stamina to be able to handle this, and that's what led to this. And I mean, Luis Perez, I mean, big props to this guy. I'm like, this dude, they brought him in mid-season, and they came into the playoffs and just absolutely just turned it on. They didn't play as particularly great during the regular season, but they turned it on at the right time with the playoffs. They beat their own division-leading team to win their division, and then they beat the best team in the XFL in pretty significant fashion when the defenders came in as 9.5-point favorites, and they beat them. And I mean, I gotta say, Luis Perez, like, if he's not signed to an NFL team and put on an NFL roster this upcoming season, I think it's a travesty, honestly, because he came out there and he played pretty freaking well, honestly. So, you know, I was very disappointed that we don't get to celebrate a major championship, but I'm very proud of what this team was able to do throughout the season, only having the 1 loss, being the best team, rushing team, Teamo being the offensive player of the year, Coach Barlow being the coach of the year, and they did everything they needed to do. It's just that it came down to the one game that they needed to win, and the other team figured them out. And now Bob Stoops can add an XFL championship to his national championship and 15 million Big 12 championships to his trophy case. So congrats to the defenders on a great season. It just didn't end the way it should have.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a really great assessment because I thought there's a lot of great things to take away from them. That's why, at first I was like, oh, should we talk about it in the second hour? Should it not be the lead story? No, because I think we should be proud. We're still the North champions. If I have time next week, I might still make some merch like Shields Up using our S as part of the Shields or something, cool like that. Even if we're not champions, we can still celebrate the accomplishment of what this team was able to do. Because a lot of new players, new coaches, new system, everything was new from even just a couple of years ago. It's crazy because I believe our quarterback was the quarterback of the Battlehawks in the previous iteration. So, like, everyone got shifted around. I'm interested to see which players get, at least tryouts with NFL teams, which ones get signed to the practice squad, or which ones get signed to training camp. And they're already saying the guy from the what's his name from the Dragons.
Danucci just got signed to Detroit to Denver.
Denver, exactly, which has a deep room. It's funny because I have a Denver fan in chat in AmpDog41, so I'll be interested to see if he watched any of the XFL or knows anything about Ben DiNucci, or even if they just got that one. So, but I do want to give a shout out to Hound Doom in chat, who actually made the trek all the way down to Texas to do it. I love how some people are like, oh, it's rigged because the team where they're all like being housed is the team that won it even with a losing record or whatever. No, they worked their butts off and they deserve it. And big credit to them for the big trade to get a quarterback so late in the season. They lost the first couple of games with him, but were able to to turn it around and get better every week. And Bob Stoops is a hell of a coach. Like I don't think he should be overlooked. I think he had a great game plan and played well. But I just wanted to mention a couple of things that Hound Doom said, because I asked him in chat what were some of your favorite things about going to it. And he talked about how DC traveled. They had 200 DC fans at their tailgate. They had a beer snake going, and he said that the defense has been our Achilles heel all season. And it's true, because in some moments it's been tough, because they've been bad in the first half of games, but they've been tidying it up in the second half. But definitely the two games that they lost.
The difference in with the defense, I'm not going to say they've been struggling. It was the turnovers. The last 3 games they were -5. We were turning the ball over, averaging 2 turnovers a game, and unfortunately, the last 3 games we got 2 late in the championship game, but until that fourth quarter, they were -7 in the last 3 games, and we were getting pick sixes. Remember, Joseph closed out 2 games with pick sixes to defeat the team. The defense got goal line stands to stop teams from getting the 2-point or 3-point to win games and sustain games. So I can't agree with the defense has been coming up short. Teams make adjustments, and that's the only thing that frustrates me. Other teams have quality players too. They make plays too. The defense always isn't going to win. Sometimes the offense is going to win some plays. So saying that the defense didn't, stand up, and they were a better second half team because they made adjustments. We've seen the Commanders years under a certain coach when we wanted halftime adjustments or adjustments in game and couldn't get them. They've been very successful at making adjustments to what the other team is doing, i.e. quick passes and things like that. But on the contrast, like I said, we were getting the turnovers when they were getting the quick passes because we were getting the hands in the lane and getting the push from the defensive front. That's why I say losing a nose tackle really, hurt them, especially with how long they were on the field in that first half, because they didn't have that push and they weren't having a double team that nose tackle, so they were able to alleviate some of the pressure by being going able to one-on-one and then double teaming number 99, who, when those two are together, are a force to be reckoned with. So there were other things that led to it. I can't say that the defense dropped the ball or didn't step up. It was football things that happened that caused this to happen. It wasn't that, they weren't focused or, they got exposed. No. Football things happen and football results happen. You lose key players. The other team is playing well. They have a good formula to beat your team because of the quick passing game and know that your pass rush isn't the same. They know your top corner, who, had 5 interceptions and 3 pick sixes, is not in the game. So, yeah, Stoops is a great coach, and he coached and schemed to the strengths of his team and the weaknesses of our team. So to say that the defense, faltered, I as a defensive coordinator, I cannot agree with that statement.
Abram Smith's penalty also hurt as well.
That was
a dumb penalty.
That was dumb. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. And he was also saying DMV Deadpool has to represent. Yeah, he's known on a lot of Facebook groups as DMV Deadpool, which is cool because he wears like a Deadpool mask at the games, goes to all the games. So I appreciate all of that. He also said that they shouldn't have switched from the kicker to the punter.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either.
Yeah, and then he also said Reggie should have gone to the 2-quarterback system in the third. It's tough because I can see it both ways. We were coming back. I think if we had gotten some stops, my big thing is I really think we should have gone for it on 4th down in the fourth quarter. I know that we were kind of backed up, and it was probably a long shot, but at that point you had to take a couple of risks. We ended up stopping them, and getting a turnover, but just too much time left the clock. Like if we could have just started to drive then, I just think that those extra 2 minutes could have, been helpful, towards the comeback. For sure. I don't know. It's just it wasn't like there was one mistake that I really blame it on completely. It's just the collective.
Yeah, it was the whole game. It wasn't one play like they always. It's never just one play. But like I say, going back watching it again, you can see the momentum from the first play of the game. DC found a way, to mitigate it. The 52-yard touchdown, keeping them in the game. And, getting the drive, that the interception in the end zone was crucial too when they drove down that, that first drive where they actually was getting, getting some confidence of the offense, and that interception in the end zone, that tip ball, like you say, it's a game of inches. And like I say, going back and looking at it, and Jordan, that was on him. He threw off his back foot. He didn't have nobody in his face. He had time to step into the throw and use his mechanics, but threw it off his back foot. Didn't get enough air under it. Tip, interception, momentum swing. So yeah, but I mean, we can all look back. Hindsight is 2020. We can all say woulda, coulda, shoulda, but it was a good season. Hopefully, this fires him up and brings him out next year to finish the damn thing. It ain't how you start; it's how you finish.
I'm curious about the rules because my understanding was a lot of these guys are on 1-year contracts. If not everybody in the league was on a 1-year contract, so I just wonder how many people get to stay around with their team, or how much movement there's going to be from year to year in this league, because it was thought of as a 2 to 3 year experiment. They're hoping that it goes for a long time, but it's not built with 3 5 year contracts that a lot of teams that try to build things behind certain players, because really the end goal for a lot of these people is to move on to the NFL, right, and not be an XFL player. But it's funny because a lot of fans were like, I want the XFL to be like competition for the NFL and be exciting in its own thing, which I can understand that.
I mean, it has to build. It has to build up. They have 8 teams. I mean, what, 10 teams? And it has to start. And now the fact that they have the contract with a major sports network, and ESPN, and who has other affiliates that can distribute the product. You have a fan base that's, you see DC first season, they wilding out for them. So I think it's going to grow, and they have a good formula. They like I said, some of the rules that they've instituted to help make the game safer or better or different, however you want to look at it. I think it's going to take on, because you saw, like I said, you saw the first season. Folks, it's to me, it's better than I've been trying to watch the USFL. It's just, I don't know what it is. I just can't get into it. But the XFL, I guess maybe because we don't have a team. I don't know. That might have something to do with it. But having the Defenders here, I was more focused on the XFL. I've been trying to watch the USFL games, but it just, the crowd isn't the same. The feel isn't the same.
The TV ratings were doing pretty good, like even better than the XFL, but I felt like the crowds aren't as big.
Yeah, they aren't.
Interesting.
They aren't. That's the thing with the XFL. Even if smaller venues, the crowd is hype and it's in the game. The XFL games is like we're here. It's it's a beautiful day. We're just here at the park watching some football. It's like they're not into the game. And when I've tried to watch it, it's like it's not the same.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't necessarily love this 4 hub system, because it's not like you don't get that home advantage. Like I like this system in the XFL where they're all practicing using the same facilities, whatever, but they're flying to a city and we can get behind them and it's like a home crowd, It kind of reminds me more like college football in the sense that you get that home crowd sort of lively atmosphere going. Where I don't know if you get that with the hubs as much, except for the home teams, which is a huge advantage that like one team is a home team, in the USFL, and they won it all because of that, in their first year. So I do wonder a little bit if Arlington does have an advantage being the hub. They didn't have a great record, but it's just interesting that both leagues had the quote unquote team of the hub win it all, right? In the end,
I mean,
see if that trend continues, right?
Yeah, I really don't draw no. I mean, I heard folks talking about it was rigged or whatever, but I mean, if you watch the game, the refereeing wasn't atrocious. It was some stuff that they should have, but that's every game. I didn't really see anything to back up that argument. It was, they played well. It wasn't no fluky stuff. They executed. They called good plays. They played solid defense. They played solid special teams. It was a unfortunate good win. A good win for them, and unfortunately we came up a little short. So I can't get behind that whole rig thing. If it was ugly and they a whole bunch of penalties and a whole bunch of other BS, then okay, yeah, I can see that. But to me, the game, the quality of the game, to me, shuts that argument down.
There were only 8 penalties total in the entire game, 4 from each team.
Yeah.
So anybody who thinks it was rigged, I would invite them to take a long walk off a short pier and then take a deep breath when they get in. That's all I gotta say.
Pretty much. That's pretty much. Man, we went a whole hour for football. We got a football hour.
I'm shocked by those, but I mean, technically 40 minutes. I'm actually looking at the actual uptime. But anyway, yeah. But we started as a football show. It doesn't surprise me that we talk football for a long time. Last couple of thoughts, real quickly. The Deadpool, aka Hound Doom in chat, was saying that it was an amazing atmosphere, despite not winning, and the Defenders really traveled. I just want to give them a big shout out. And there's been Defenders fans across this whole country. And for a lot of people, they're representing the entire Northeast, right? Because if they didn't have another team, or you don't really want to watch the USFL, it's interesting. Like, unlike the Commanders, which I feel is a much more local team to us, there are fans that were born here in the DMV that have moved somewhere else afterwards, or people that had parents that were Commanders fans. But I felt like there was Defenders fans across this country. That there was I was in a lot of these fan groups, and it was interesting to see a lot of the fans weren't just from the DMV, unlike some of the other teams that we have. So I was happy to see it grow. I do want to give a quick scoring update. We haven't talked hockey at all. We will talk more hockey in the second hour. But Ropa Hintz is now second in the league in points with 19 points, getting his ninth goal of the playoffs for Dallas, giving them a 1-0 lead. And we just started the third period here. We got 8:50 left in the third. So we'll be giving scoring updates throughout this is game 7. Winner takes all. If Seattle wins, it'll be the 2 expansion teams playing for the Western Championship. If Dallas wins, it's 2 Southern teams in the West, and there'll be 2 Southern teams in the East that we'll be talking with Daddy Flat Guy about in just a second. But Carol, I did say that you were going to get to have your Nats talk, so I do want to get Champ his No Spots podcast shout out real quick. I want to thank Champ for an incredible year. It's probably your last show since this quote unquote spring season. We'll have you back on when football comes back a little bit more. But Champ, let people know what's happening on the No Spots podcast.
All right, so the best of the Super Juniors tournament is off and running. 3 nights have already been in the books. They had a travel day today, and then they'll be back at it tomorrow. So myself and Sage will recap the entire week that has happened this coming Thursday. And then on Saturday, we will have the weekly wrestling podcast with a very unique segment where we are going to be doing something very, 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 very cool, as well as recapping the week that was. So that'll come up on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/True No Spots Pod, and you can listen to the audio at sportsothp.com. Click on the podcast partners button to find the audio, and especially the archives of other audio podcasts that we've done. Thank you for having me for this spring season. I cannot wait to be back here when the Commanders kick off their season. I cannot wait. Robbie, you enjoy your break. Carol, I will definitely be watching and listening to you guys talk Nats throughout the summer.
No doubt. Appreciate it. DC's People Champ always being a good contributor, helping out Robbie on the Twitch stream thing. I don't know nothing about it, but appreciate your assistance in helping growing the show and the team over on that new platform that Robbie's having a lot of success over there. And as always, man, appreciate it. And definitely now that I'm in the Northern Virginia area, you got to come on through and see what's good and check out some things, man.
Oh, you already know, like, you made that invitation. You know, I'm gonna answer that invitation, my brother. You know that.
Hey, man, once everything gets settled, and then I'm redoing the studio now. Like I said, every week has been a different view, so bear with me. Things is changing, but yeah, probably have some cookouts and some things going on this summer. So yeah, you definitely gonna get your invite, brother.
Hey, man, I'm in there.
And next year we can, for football season, I was thinking about it. We could have Champ be with Carol live and have multiple cameras over there. We could have, Arun and Tim here, and we could have all of us in 2 studios. That'd be kind of a cool, Studio A and Studio B kind of thing. So lots of fun stuff to look forward to, in the for the summer with Carol Snaps Talk, and then obviously in the fall when we get back to some football, hockey, and basketball again. But
hey, Carol, pre and post game for the Commanders. What's good?
Yeah, exactly. You guys can do it together.
Hey, I'm working on now that I'm out here in Fairfax. I'm working on a couple of locations is out here, seeing if I can get like we had partnered up with Martinis a couple of years ago. So it's a couple of I'm learning my way out here, and rubbing elbows with some folks. So I'm like I say, I'm working. I'm redoing the studio in the house. The Lab 3.0, and I'm out here, checking out some of the scenery and checking out some of the eateries and some of the bars that they have. So stay tuned. Like I said, things are definitely going to be on the upswing, and things are definitely going to be moving a lot faster this season than the previous seasons. With a lot of things that's changed in my personal life. So, yeah, we're gonna excuse me, figure some things out. And now that I'm only 15 minutes from Ashburn, don't be surprised who you might see popping up on a pop-up show or something. That's all I'm gonna say. I ain't laying nothing out there, but I've cultivated a couple of relationships with a couple of, folks that I might be able to finagle some things. Nobody with the team yet. I'm still working on that, but yeah, just stay tuned. We got some things popping in Sports on the Hill for year 8, season 7.
Well, I mean, we've interviewed some pretty heavy hitters, and I know one president of communications that I talked to recently, and maybe we can get her back on or something. So we definitely have some connections over there, and I look forward to building even more with the new ownership, and maybe we'll get some different opportunities than we got before. So it'll be exciting for sure. But Champ, appreciate your time as always. You've been killing it over on the No Spots podcast. I've been lurking your show a bunch. I enjoy what you and Sith and Sage and all those guys have to say over there. And I appreciate you and being a part of this True Radio Network, continuing this. Now, the True Radio Network has been around for, I believe, 9 or 10 years. I have to go back and look, but it's still a thing, and I appreciate us being able to have the 2 flagship shows for it. And I hope that you have a wonderful summer, and we'll continue to talk offline.
Yes, Nokigenyo, sayonara.
All right, brother, take it easy, Mike.
All right, with that, we're going to swap to some baseball talk. I'm going to refill my water. And I've got a big show coming up in hour 2. We got a bunch of streamers on deck. But Carol, let everyone know we've got a good Nats week. And then after that, I will give a scoring update on how this hockey game is going.
All right, I just shared to a couple of Nats groups just now. Yes, the Nationals, after having a winning week last week, they backed it up with a 3-3 week this past week, and they split the 4-game series that was over the weekend versus the Mets. I attempted to go to the second game on Saturday. They got ranked delayed for 4 hours, so I ended up coming home and watching the Defenders, unfortunately, lose the XFL championship game. But let's get back into the week it was. They went 3-3. The last 10, they're 5-5. They won 2 out of 3 versus the Giants, and as I said, they split with the Mets. Started out the series against the Giants on the road. First game was a 5-1 victory. Jake Irvin earned his first career win in this game. It was his second start, I believe. That puts him at 1-0. He went 6 1/3, giving up 4 hits, no runs with 5 strikeouts with 3 walks. Anthony Descott, I always hate trying to pronounce this dude's name. I'm not even going to try. I don't have the words for it tonight. Scalafani, I think that's it. Drops to 3-2. He went 7 innings, giving up 10 hits, 5 runs, 3 strikeouts, and 1 walk. The Nats had a 5-run first inning, which accounted for all their runs and were able to hold on 5-1. Only gave up a run, I believe, in the 7th inning. First inning was an RBI single by Joey Meneses, made it 1-0. Dominic Smith had an RBI single behind that, making it 2-0. An RBI single by, oh man, I can't even read my hand right. Now I got to go back and look at the stats now. It was an RBI single. Come on, man. Now my phone want to be slow. The miracles of technology. No. Hate when I can't read my hand. Alex Call. I couldn't even read my hand, but that's why I looked so simple. Alex Call with an RBI single, making it 3-0. And then CJ Abrams, who had an outstanding week at the plate. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to get his numbers for the week. He had a 2-run RBI single, making it 5-0 at that point. And as I said, they ended up winning 5-1. Second game of the series was a 4-1 loss. Logan Webb earned the victory for the Giants. That put them at 3-5. He went 7 innings, giving up 9 hits, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Patrick Corbin Drops to 1-5. Went 6 innings, giving up 8 hits, 3 runs. 2 of those earned with 3 strikeouts and no walks. And Camilo Doval earned his 8th save, going 1 inning with no hits, no runs, 2 strikeouts, and no walks. The Nats got their lone run in the top of the 6th with the RBI single by Dominic Smith, and at that point they were down 3-1. San Francisco tacked on a run late to make it 4-1, and this was also the game that Patrick Corbin was hit by the pitch, 100-mile-per-hour ball bounced off his arm and hit him clean in the face. He stayed in the game. I said, I'm not mad at him. He's just hasn't been the same since that championship season. His slider just hasn't been sliding since that season, and he's been giving up a lot of home runs, and because it hasn't been sliding. And unfortunately, with Strasburg, future in doubt and status in doubt, he's the senior guy on the staff that's supposed to be leading the way, but unfortunately, it's not going the way that the Nats would have planned. And wrap up the series, the Nats had an impressive 11-6 win. They actually got Josiah Gray some run support again. That's the third time in 4 games they've actually, gave him some run support, and he's won 3 out of those 4. That puts him at 3-5. He went 7 innings, giving up 5 hits, 2 runs with 3 strikeouts and 4 walks. Sean Manaea dropped to 1-2. He went 2 2/3, giving up 5 hits, 8 runs, 4 of those earned, with 4 strikeouts and 3 walks. The top of the 2nd, Dominic Smith had an RBI single, making it 1-0. After that, Riley Adams had a 3-run home run, making it 4-0. And the top of the 3rd, Stone Garrett had a 2-run RBI single, making it 6-0. Then Eldiarmo Vargas, I always try to say his name because it's so hard to say, had a 2-run RBI triple, blowing this game wide open, making it 8-0. Top of the 4th, Meneses had an RBI single, making it 9-1 at that point. The top of the 6th, Lane Thomas had a solo home run, making it 10-1. And for good measure, the top of the 9th, Vargas had an RBI double at that point, making it 11-4. San Francisco tacked on 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th to make it the 11-6 final. After the winning that series against the Giants, they came back home to face the Mets. I was hoping they would, have the momentum coming in, and they did for the most part because they led this game 2-0 up into the 6th inning. But unfortunately, the bullpen faltered, walking some guys and giving up a crucial hit at a crucial time that scored 3 runs and made it a 3-2 game, and that's what the Nats was the final score, 3-2. Tyler McGill earned his 4th victory of the season. That puts him at 4-2. He went 5 innings, giving up 4 hits, 2 runs. 1 of those earned with 4 strikeouts and 4 walks. Carl Edwards Jr. took the loss that dropped him to 1-2. He went 1/3 of an inning, giving up a hit, a run with no strikeouts and a walk. And Drew Smith earned his 1st save of the season, going 1/3 of an inning, giving up no runs, no hits with a strikeout. The bottom of the 1st, Joey Meneses had an RBI single, making it 1-0. And the bottom of the 4th, Alex Call scored on an error, and which made it 2-0. And as I mentioned, I believe it was the 6th inning, top of the 7th is when New York was able to get that timely hitting and get that 3-run RBI single to take the victory over the Nats to start out the series. Second game was the game that, like I said, I attempted to go to. That was the rain delay game when they suspended it. The Nats were up 1-0, and they were able to restart that game on Sunday, and the Nats were able to prevail 3-2. Hunter Henry earned his 2nd victory of the season. That puts him at 2-0. He went 1 inning and 2/3, giving up no hits, no runs with a strike and no walks. Dominique Leone dropped to 0-1. He took the loss. He went 2 innings, giving up 3 hits, 1 run, no strikeouts and no walks. And Kyle Finnegan earned his 8th save of the season, going 1 inning, giving up 2 hits, no runs with a strikeout and no walks. Bottom of the 1st, Joey Meneses had an RBI single to start the game out again. Been given a 1-0 lead. The bottom of the fourth, C.J. Abrams had an RBI single, making it 2-1. And in the bottom of the seventh, C.J. Abrams, as I said, who had a very impressive week at the plate this week, and he always is a stellar in the field, had a game-winning solo home run in the bottom of the seventh, making it 3-2, which would be the final score of the game. And the second game of the doubleheader was an ugly 8-2 loss by the Nats, and we faced a friendly competitor. I still don't like Max being in another uniform, but Max Scherzer earned the win, put him at 3-2. He went 5 innings, giving up 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts, and 2 walks. Jake Irvin took the loss. That drops him to 1-1. He went 4 2/3, giving up 6 runs, 6 strikeouts, and 1 walk. I didn't write how many hits he gave up. And he gave up 6 hits, 6 runs with 6 strikeouts. Up until the fourth, he had a clean slate. He hadn't given up a hit. So in the 2 starts two of the 3 starts, he's had, clean starts to the game. Unfortunately, the Mets bats got to him in that 4th inning, and he gave up 6 runs. In the bottom of the second, C.J. Abrams had an RBI double, making it 1-0 at that point. And in the bottom of the 8th, Abrams had an RBI single, making it 8-2, which was the final score. So CJ accounted for both runs, and the Mets had an 8-run 5th inning, which, yeah, that pretty much knocks you out of winning any game if you give up 8 runs in 1 inning. And today, the Nats were able to earn the split, winning 10-3 over the Mets. Patrick Corbin finally has his second victory of the season at 2-5. He went 6 innings, giving up 8 hits, 2 runs, 1 strikeout, and 1 walk. Obviously, one of his best performances of the season so far. David Peterson took the loss. That drops him to 1-6. He went 5 innings, giving up 9 hits, 6 runs, 5 strikeouts, and 2 walks. First period, thinking hockey. First inning, Joey Meneses once again starting off with an RBI double, making it a 1-0 lead. In the 3rd inning, he does it again with another RBI double, making it 2-1. Keibert Ruiz had a sacrifice fly, making it 3-1. The 4th inning, Lane Thomas was walked in on a bases loaded walk, and Luis Garcia had an RBI, which made it 4-1. And Luis Garcia had an RBI single, making it 5-1. Bottom of the 5th, Dominic Smith had an RBI single, making it 6-1. The 6th, C.J. Abrams at the plate again with his 4th home run of the season, another solo shot, which made it 7-2 at that point. Dominic Smith had a sacrifice fly in the 7th, which made it 9-2. And in the bottom of the 8th, Joey Meneses with the RBI double, making it 10-2. Final score 10-3 when the Mets tacked on a run in the top of the 9th. And the Nats earned a split and are currently sitting 18-23, 5 games under 500. I believe 6.5 or 7.5 out of first place. So the team isn't as bad as everyone makes it out to be. They're 5 games under 500. They're finding their way. They've called up some players. Irvin got his first victory. Alex Carter's been playing pretty well. He had a walk-off last week. Luis Garcia's been better at the plate. They got Vargas back. We saw the stellar play that he had with us last year. So the cupboard isn't bare. Things are looking, good. Not saying they're going to win a division or make the playoffs, but, a lot of folks are talking about how bad this team was going to be and how bad they were going to suck. But, 5 games under 500 at this point isn't too bad. I'm not mad at them. I would, some of those blown opportunities that they had earlier in the season, they get those. They'll probably be a 500 team right now. But they're sitting in the bottom of the East. Playing some decent ball. Pitching is, okay. If we can, I haven't heard any update on Strasburg. I'm going to, see what I can find out because I know he's on the injury list still. But if we can get him back healthy and on the mound, that'll definitely add to the pitching rotation, add to the team. And after I see Robbie shaking his head, I look at the TV and I see that Dallas has just scored in the game 7, and are looking to advance
So
to the Western Conference.
you gotta love statistics, right? So they just put up a statistic on the score on the Chiron saying 51% of games are decided by one goal.
Mhm.
And then not even a minute later, they go up 2-0. So it's frustrating because I'm conflicted. I really like the storyline of both of the expansion teams like playing for a Western Conference final. But I do have a friend, Moonlight Social. They're a band, and they're out of Nashville, but he's originally from Texas, and he's a big Dallas Stars fan. And I told him that I would pull for Dallas for him, and he did say if he's around town and doesn't have a gig next week, and they're not playing on that night, like if they're, the schedule hasn't come out yet, maybe he'd come on and talk about the Dallas Stars with us, which could be fun. He is one of the funniest guys, Carol, I've ever seen on any live stream. Hilarious, and a wonderful musician and a great band. So if we could get him, that would be amazing. So for that sake, I'm rooting for Dallas because, yeah, 2-0. 6:30 left in the third, so it's coming down quick. Not a lot of time left in this one, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I picked Dallas. I think I picked them in 6. The Kraken gave them definitely some go, but yeah, I was 4 for 4 in the semi, so I might gotta make a little wager on a conference final, see if I can profit from my knowledge, because yeah. But to wrap up, Nats talk. As I mentioned, they went 3-3 in a week, starting out this week 1-0 with the victory over the Mets. They have a full slate, 6 more games this week. They start out going to Miami to face the Marlins. They have a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday matchup. The Tuesday and Wednesday are 6:40 starts. Thursday is a 1:10 start. And then they get in some interleague play versus back here at Nats Park versus the Detroit Tigers. Friday is a 7:05 start. Saturday is a 4:05 start. And Sunday is a 1:35 start. So hopefully they'll be able to continue their winning ways after they started out 1-0 this week. And hopefully we can have another above 500 week to have 3 weeks in a row of 500 or above, and move one step closer to being over 500 as a team for the season and not just for the week.
Yeah, they're clawing their way back into it. I mean, that's what they did in 2019, right? It wasn't, it wasn't all done. They didn't come back from that huge deficit all in a week or two. It took the whole season to kind of do it. So I guess it's kind of how you're going to have to climb out of that hole that they started with. But oh man, the attack of Seattle is just going nuts right now. They're throwing everything they've got at it. Their backs are against the wall here with 4:38 left. But yeah, I'm excited to see the Nats are doing better. Hopefully they'll continue to have another good week, 3 weeks in a row, and we can continue to progress from there. I think I'll switch over to hockey real quickly and get your thoughts on, I know you said you watched a little bit of hockey this week, and a little bit of basketball. Do you have any thoughts you wanted to share with us before I'll let you leave and I'll bring in our second hour panelists?
On the hockey side, yeah, I've been paying attention. Like I said, Carolina versus I'm drawing a blank right now. I wasn't even in hockey mode. It's going to be Carolina versus who's the other team that's in the finals?
Florida.
Florida. Oh yeah, that's going to be a nice one. Man. I guess I gotta go with that's gonna be I don't know. I can't even make a call on that one. That's gonna be a coin flip game because both of them have similar styles. Both of them, when they get a lead, they're hard to score on, and they got quality goaltending. Oh man, and Carolina's the home team. Man, I guess I got to ride with Carolina being the home team because they definitely
You got to understand, this is an 8th seed team in Florida coming in, but even you are very nervous. And Ryan last week talked about how Carolina wanted to duck them so that way they didn't have to play them in the second round or in the first round actually. Yeah, and so I hear they get the opportunities, in the Eastern Finals after they've gone through Boston, who was incredible, and Toronto, who that's just so heartbreaking. I'm happy they got a win, but it's just I thought Toronto was going to be their year. I feel so bad for Steve Dangle and other. We've got Josh and a lot of my friends are above the border. It's crazy. Edmonton got knocked out too, right? So Canada's out again for 30 years, Carol. 30 years Canada hasn't been in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, so I think that one's going to
Or
be a good
hasn't
one.
won it.
Yeah, then now we're going to have probably Dallas and Vegas. That's going to be another. Both, I think both of the finals, conference finals, are going to be good. I think both of them could possibly go 7, and I'm a ride with the. I hate to say it, I'm riding for a Dallas team, but I guess I'm riding for the Stars. I still don't like Vegas, even though Reeves isn't there anymore. Just the fact that he was on their team at one point. I can't root for them. They do have a good squad though. I have been watching. They do have Chandler Stevenson, ex Capital. So I like that he's playing well out there. But I'm going with Dallas and 7. I think both of them will go 7. I'm going with Carolina in 7 and Dallas in 7. And as for the NBA, I'm definitely that Philadelphia Boston series, that game 6. When I saw that Tatum was 1 for 10, and they were only up by like 4 or 5 points in the fourth quarter. In the third quarter, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to turn out well for them. If they only got that small of a lead and their best player is having a worst shooting night of his playoff career, and then the way he just got hot in that fourth quarter, turned it on and put them on his back, and then game 7 was by the time I turned it on, he already had 40. So it was like the game was already over. So
it's crazy that Steph set that record like 2 weeks ago. Game 7's most points scored in a game 7 with 50, and he gets one like a couple weeks later, and he gets to 51. That's crazy to me. That like the top 2 ever happened this season. Like
that just tells you where the game is now, and I'll leave it at that. And then on the Golden State Lakers, I was like I said, I've been rooting for Golden State for a while. I'm a Steph Curry fan. I like their whole squad. It was unfortunate to see. I thought they were going to be able to overcome and find a way to win that series, but came up a little short. And the Denver series, that really wasn't much competition. Like I think I think a room said it best last week that most underrated number 1 seed in the playoffs. Now you're going to have the 2 big men, Jokic and Anthony Davis, going head up. And the question to me is Davis going to be able to stay healthy through the whole damn series? Because Jokic is a load, and if he decides to go down on the box, I don't know if Davis' frail body and weak knees is going to be able to take that abuse for 7 games. So it's going to be interesting, but you got the LeBron James X Factor and what's that dude? What's the point guard? D'Angelo Russell. I can't stand him, but he scores and does what he has to do to help the team to win. But I think both of the finals, the conference finals, are going to be good. Boston versus Miami. They said this is the 4th or 5th time they didn't faced off in the conference finals or something recently. I don't follow.
Last year they faced off.
Oh, see, like I said, I'm not a big basketball guy.
But I'm just saying, it's a rematch. It's crazy, especially because one of them was the 7 seed, so the thought that it was going to be a rematch, people threw that kind of out the window, right? And then, so on one side you got 7-seeded teams. You've got it's just crazy. These like teams that were real low, and people had kind of counted out in these both sports. But these came from play-in tournaments. You remember LA had to play in a play-in tournament, and so did the Heat, and here they are in the conference championship. So it's the first time that a team has made it that far through so many rounds to make it as an underdog. And so it's interesting to see their success. It definitely was unexpected for sure. But Carol, I'll let you go. You've got a busy day tomorrow. We're already at 10:30, but I am going to power through. I've got a ton of guests coming up on this show, but I appreciate your time as always. And next week we'll do our last show together before the spring season ends. Spring season's very short. It's just April and May for people who don't know. And then the summer season is June, July, August. And Carol represents, and it will be over on Facebook.com You can go to Sports.thp. It's got all of the links over there because we'll be sharing it there. But sports.thp.com on the socials button has Carol's personal Facebook page, his personal YouTube channel, and he live streams on all of those. And then we'll also rip it up still and put it on our audio podcast platform. And I will try to update the website. It might not all be on Tuesday or right away as much as it is in the regular season, but we'll try to do it every week so that way all the shows get up there. But definitely check out his YouTube channel or his Facebook channel for replays on there as well. But Carol, any final thoughts before I let you go and bring in our guests?
No, as always, appreciate you guys tuning in for another great episode. Stay tuned. I know I mentioned last week about my career change. I'm now a financial planner with New York Life. So if anyone needs any financial, snapshot of where they are now, preparing for retirement in the future, kids, ownership of property, businesses, whatever you need, hit me up, contact me. We can sit down, go over it, look at your financial snapshot. No obligation, just want to sit down and talk. If you like where you are, you're good to go. If you don't like what you see, that's what we're here for. So make sure you contact me on that. I had a couple of people hit me up on the social media platforms that I'm in the talks to, setting some appointments and sitting down talking to them. So feel free to hit me up. I got my sports knowledge now. I'm about to get my wealth knowledge and financial knowledge on too. So be sure to check that out. Check us out Sunday at the Bar Radio as always around 6:00. We having a pop-up show on the 4th of June at the Blue Dyer Distillery where we were at a couple of months ago. It's for 151's birthday. So we encourage folks to come on out and have a live studio audience while we do our show and, have some fun and have some drinks and some good food. They have some food trucks posted up outside because they can't legally sell food in the distillery, but they have a food truck outside, a couple of food trucks outside with some good food. I'm not going to lie. I had a couple of things when I was there. So it's down in Waldorf, Maryland. So if you're interested, hit me up. I'll send you the address so you can meet us down there for the 4th of June around 6:00, as I said. What else? And that's about it because I got training early in the morning tomorrow. So I'm about to go eat my dinner and walk the dog and call it a night. As always, appreciate you tuning in. DC Sports or the Politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. CP3, live from the lab 3.0, and I'm out. Robbie, you have a great rest of the show, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Carol. Have a great night. And we'll bring in Ryan, that E-Flat guy. We'll also bring in Arun